A little bit of delay, but that's fine. Yes! Let's go! Let's go! 15 matches on commentary and I finally guessed one correctly. That's crazy. Alright, so obviously syncing for GameCube loads. One of the major things about playing on console is that load times are absolutely awful, so... You know, Boost is going to be a little bit behind for this race, and that's not because he's playing slowly, it's just mostly because in RTA, which is obviously the time difference in real time, he's going to be way behind because of how long his loads take. There's not too much to talk about in the first section of City Escape unless either runner makes a mistake here, but it looks really clean from both so far, so... Tethys is not sticking to the ground there. It's something that's kind of hard to avoid sometimes, and it'll lose you about half a second. Ooh, Booster getting bad camera and still making it though. You can easily die in the pit there with that camera. Oh!
Oh!
Oh, Brewster is NugRunner is hitting CE skip, and Tethys is not, so that is a huge advantage in the early game from NugRunner. That's... Tethys is gonna have to claw back now in the early stages of this run, which, you know, it's hard to gain some time back until really late game, I'd say, usually. Unless Nug makes a huge mistake here. In any of the upcoming stages. This is really unfortunate for Tethys. This is a huge win for the Nug fanbase, though. He's gonna pull out of City Escape with a really nice looking time. The cleanest truck section from Nug, but he's not gonna need too much of that because his advantage from C skip alone is just gonna carry him a lot through the early game, provided he doesn't make too many major mistakes. Tethys does need to have a really good bout of execution throughout some of the earlier stages here to catch up. We are looking to see a sub 2 skipless though, which is always a respectable time.
By 1 frame? 1 millisecond? Something? I don't know.
Nah, it's a 5-9.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that one's a 99, isn't it? Right, my bad.
No worries. Boostler already had... When I say Boostler, I mean NugRunner, by the way. They go by 2 different names. If I say Boostler and I don't correct myself, that's what I mean. My apologies. But Nug is already in Bigfoot. Tethys is just loading in, so there's a time difference of around 25 seconds here. Obviously RTA it's a lot less. Tethys is, you know, almost halfway through the fight now. They're looking to have pretty similar times as well. Both in the mid-22 range. Wait, was that exactly the same time? I didn't catch that.
I'm not entirely sure.
Anyway, Wild Canyon for both runners now, which marks the first RNG stage, where you can play basically like tasks in the stage and you can still get a really bad time, just completely in the game's favor of you.
I believe the GameCube has a completely different 1024, right?
This is true, yeah. On GameCube, and we suspect most console versions as well, the 1024 is completely skewed because of how different consoles and different hardware calls around. Tethys is getting a much more preferred set though, but it was after a restart.
Yeah, this is perfect.
Actually getting 2 pieces of the D-Pro set. Yo, shouts to Lee Much for the raid. Let's go. Alright, so both runners are loading into Prison Lane now. It looks like Tethys is going to be around 24 seconds. Oh, not Prison Lane, Eggman, my bad. I forgot this boss fight's really easy to forget because simply you just hold forwards for a very brief moment of time and then press the B button a lot. Yeah, there are very few things that can go wrong in this boss. Sometimes it can be a little bit unpredictable and just charge you, which is unfortunate because at that point you have to take a close range punch to him and you'll lose a little bit of time. Other than that though, he can also turn really early. There's not really a whole lot of ways that you can lose time in an Eggman fight. You'll average around 13-12 if you do things right.
Now it's time to see them both running through tails.
Yeah, that's true. Prison Lane is a really, really technical stage, especially for mech movement. As I said this in a previous race, but you want to make sure that you turn every single corner as tight as possible, and that you're jumping around corners to conserve your momentum. And all the lock-ons in the stage are precise as well. You want to make sure that every enemy is destroyed at certain points to open gates faster and stuff. And Nug is barely falling off the edge of that gate, which is going to cost him 2 seconds there. Tethys with a 53 check. We'll have to see how Nug compares. Probably getting a similar time after falling off the gate. That's coming out with a 55, so he's actually going to be losing 2 seconds to Tethys. It's nice movement in the end game though here. Prison Lane from both runners actually. Tethys is getting some really clean lock-ons. These enemies can be kind of hard to hit. The angle's not stupid precise, but I don't know, sometimes these enemies just don't like to lock on for some reason. And if that happens, then you lose about 2 seconds just to not opening the gate early enough.
Overall, very clean movement from both of them. Only a
true,
2-second difference.
Yeah, that 2 second difference carried over from the checkpoints earlier. It looks like Nug did not lose any time to Tethys in the last section.
That was easy.
So they both did have really clean endings to Prison Lane. And out of one technical stage to the other, we're into Metal Harbor. This stage is... I wouldn't say one of the hardest Sonic stages, but it depends. There's a lot of risky strats that you can go for in this stage that I'm not sure if these runners are going to go for. And if you do opt to go for them, you can save a little bit of time at a pretty high risk. It's really down to the runner. 20 upgrade from Tethys. Nug also coming up in the upgrade, looking to lose 1 second to Tethys. That's not going to be a huge difference again. Tethys could easily lose 12 seconds here just by miscalculating a jump and falling into the water or missing rocket skip, as we've seen earlier. That's something that even experienced runners can struggle with a little bit. I still think Nug is in the lead though. It's hard to tell because of RTA, obviously. The GameCube loads and all that, but playing in IGT, I think Nug's still got a little bit of the edge going into Green Forest here. Cause I'm speaking a little bit preemptively. Both runners could still mess up a little bit just right at the end of the section. This loop skip can be a little bit tricky if you're not super confident in it. You need to have a good mentality to get through that loop. There's not really any backing down if you're halfway across the loop and you decide to jump.
Does not look like there's a major difference in time here.
Yeah, Nug deciding not to go for that last loop skip, which is basically what I was talking about. If you're not super confident in it, it's better just not to go for it at all. So we'll see about their paces when Nug adds his IGT here. Tethys is about 6:03 entering the Faker cutscene. The all-infamous Faker cutscene.
Any blue 3 fakers in chat?
It's true. Yeah, Nug's got a massive lead at the moment. He's about 22 seconds ahead, I believe. It's nothing that Tethys can't make back really quickly though, because the next stage is definitely one of the more technical ones in the run. I'd say the second most technical Sonic stage.
I mean, this really just goes to show how big of a difference those load times actually are. Tethys already finishing with this boss fight, getting into Green Forest already, but NugRunners have a way better time.
It's true. Console loads are brutal, and especially GameCube ones, because it's just an older generation of console. 12:24 from Nug though, that's a really clean boss fight. Tethys is hoping to play really well in Green Forest, and I mentioned it last time, but Green Forest, there's a lot of edges and vertexes in the stage that if you try and charge a spin dash over, sometimes the game will just decide to throw you into the air because of all the sharp edges and stuff, and you really want a smooth transition on the ground to make sure that you stick. So it's kind of hard to avoid these vertexes sometimes, considering they're basically invisible. But if you charge your spin dashes at the right time, you shouldn't fly off. And if you do manage to get into the air, you lose a little bit of time, because being in the air is a lot slower than being on the ground. Tethys is doing really well to stick to the ground, though. That was a bit of an awkward setup for mini wall run, so not opting to go for it was a smart move there. Looks like the enemy had a little bit of interference with that. Nug also having a really good start, though. Keep in mind that Nug is technically in the lead here still. Not even technically, I mean, Nug is just in the lead, it's just the RTA difference makes it really confusing. So Tethys not going for war on here. It's probably a smart play. You have to have confidence in the strats, otherwise it's definitely better not to go for them. If you don't think that you're gonna hit it, then you probably won't hit it. Nug is gonna go for Warren though. We'll see how this ends up for him. And he hits the... I don't think he hit the loop speed, I think it was just a little bit shorter around the back of the loop there. So he's gonna take a small death, but luckily the checkpoint is right there for him, and this is being timed in IGT.
And that is our first death of the run.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Or at least for Nug. I don't think Tethys has had any, but...
No, I think you're right, yeah. Tethys looking to be 805 exiting Green Forest, had a really clean skip list. I guess not really skip list, but you know, without Green Forest Warren is what I mean. See if like Nug loses any of that lead right now. Meanwhile, Tethys entering an RNG stage. This is where you really want to roll some good pieces here. And the pieces that you roll are tied to the frame that you enter the stage on, so there's not really a whole lot you can do to edge RNG in your favor. This piece one in particular I really don't like. It has some interesting sets, but they're not really good. So this is really unfortunate for Tethys. Yeah, that is a really bad set. That's really rude from the game. Let's glide all the way across the map to get this piece, and is opting to take the rocket, which is interesting. Let's see if Nug can get some better RNG here. I mean, this piece one's really nice.
It's closer.
Oh, GameCube 1024 is different, so I'm not too sure about this, but I know on PC story style, I'm pretty sure you can get a double charge set with this.
It's closer.
We'll have to see how that happens in GameCube, and yeah, that's not a terrible piece, considering you're right next to the rocket, but... yeah. Nug was definitely hoping to see a little bit of better from piece 3 here.
I found him.
Something you may notice is that GameCube does not have as many hit monitors either.
Yeah.
Oh, true, right, yeah. So, Nug actually has a little bit of a disadvantage, especially in Meteorhood, where there's not even a hit monitor right in front of you when you start, so you have to run a little bit into the stage before you can even know where your first piece is. And that could really hurt if you have a ground piece. Oh, Tethys. So right, this is a really cycle-based stage. There's a cycle about halfway into the stage that's incredibly tight to make, and I don't think Tethys is going to make it anymore because of that missed jump. It's called Zero Cycle. And if you get it, you save around about 10 seconds compared to the first cycle. On half cycle, probably not so much, probably around 8. Tethys is... Tethys is... I don't know. I look like an intentional death. I'm not actually too sure what Tethys is doing. Did he reset the cycles? Can you do that? Wait. I've been running this game for 2 years and I've never seen anybody do that. This is really new to me and also really interesting. Oh no, Tethys! Ah. Yeah, so Tethys is gonna take a little bit of a kick there.
But it is worth pointing out, Tethys used to do Mission Street ILs a lot, like not that long ago, I believe.
Yeah, that's true. So maybe he'll learn that strat from an IL somewhere. Meanwhile, Nug is gonna get that zero cycle that I was talking about, which will save him a lot of time on Tethys. Who is gonna take a death. 2 deaths actually, and not get zero cycle. This is 1 cycle after 2 deaths. That's just a huge kick in the teeth for Tethys. It's gonna be really hard to recover from this. And I'm sure right now he's not in the best place mentally either. I mean, I know if I was in this position, I would be really, really behind myself this run. Especially from a runner so high up like Tethys. I mean, he is so much better than this mission street is. And I hope he knows that as well. It's definitely not what he wanted to see. Meanwhile, a really, really solid 204 from Nog.
That was a little tough.
Yeah, let's get some
And-
Tethys support.
And here we are, both runners about to go back into RNG again with Aquatic Mind. Aquatic Mind. Mine.
True, this is your stage, Seafood, so I'm gonna let you talk about this one.
The inside of the mind
It's all on you.
This is gonna be tougher than I thought.
Can't really tell, but that was a solid piece 1. It looks like Tethys got 3 fans. Corner of the tracks, nice combo. Left dive, the jumbo face. Oh yeah, so wall runs on GameCube are very weird. Most runners, they can start wall running right up those signs, no problem on PC, but GameCube, you have to go at exactly a 45-degree angle to get it started. And you can't go above that 45-degree angle or you just fall off.
Yeah, it's really awkward like that.
Found him.
Tethys, though, saving a lot of time with that 27-second set over Nug's 50, which, you know, RNG really can make the difference in some races, and this is no exception.
Yeah, this is perfect.
Yeah, I believe he got dented ceiling. Unfortunately, not being able to do wall run does make a big difference.
Nug is about 1 minute and 5 seconds in the lead right now. Tethys can make this back in so many different situations, though. Let's not count Tethys out just yet. There's
What's up?
so many things that can go wrong, especially in desert and space. Like, even in this stage, you can lose basically 1 minute and 40 seconds by... Well, 1 minute and 14 seconds just by driving off the edge. No, 2 minutes and... You know, I don't remember how long stages are sometimes. Yeah, if you drive off the edge, or if you hit the car right at the edge when it's about to despawn at the end of the stage, then you'll just fall through the wall and lose about 2 minutes. It can happen.
Let's not forget there was that very minor death Nug had in Green Forest. So his timer at the bottom is not completely accurate, as that is only the end results of each screen added up. We will have to go after this run, go back and retime every individual death and reset opted by NugRunner.
This is true, actually. And there's not a whole lot to talk about in Route 101. Mostly this stage is just pick up the right amount of rings so you get a boost at a specific time. Mainly when you've just driven uphill, so because that's when you lose the most speed, so boosts can pick you back up to speed really quickly, and you want to make sure that you're snaking left and right a lot as well, because if you drift, for whatever reason, you don't lose boost speed. So you can boost and then keep drifting, and then you'll just keep having that boost speed for a really long time. It's super useful for speedruns, obviously. And that's why both runners are being a bit jittery here. That's not tournament nerves or anything, that's just generally what you do in the stage. Right, now we're coming on to the most technical part of the run. This is where Tethys can really make the lead back. Nug can make some huge mistakes, and Tethys could just play really well as well. I mean, Nug can have a really solid run, and Tethys could have an even more solid desert section, so we'll have to see what happens. This race is definitely really, really far from over, especially when we're just about to enter desert.
Looks like Tethys gained about 2 seconds on Nug.
It's true, Tethys having a slightly more optimal route in Route 101. There are different things you can do to save a little bit of time. You can go for optimal ring routes to make sure that you get a boost everywhere that you want one, and obviously hitting cars will also lose you a little bit of time. Let's see if Tethys goes for pole hop, because word in, he don't miss. And he don't miss! He don't do it! And he is out of bounds.
Go.
So yeah, pole hop is 2 really tight pulse hoppers in a row that can be kind of hard to execute. So, huge shouts to Tethys for making this first try. I believe Nug might actually follow up with the same thing too, hopefully. So we're looking for a really nice pole hop from both runners here. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
Really good start of hidden base for Tethys. We'll see if Nug going for the IL version of pole hop, which is actually a frame perfect pulse hopper. Unsurprising that he didn't get it, but it was still a very, very good effort.
So here's another fun, interesting fact about the differences. On PC, you can remap your buttons wherever you want. So a lot of runners do opt to put their pause button on the shoulder button, and they can do a pause hover that way. You don't get that option on GameCube. If Nug wants to do a pause hover, he has to do this claw grip to get the both inputs in right away, or however he holds the controller.
Yeah, I used to claw for pause hovers back in the day because I didn't know about this little secret trick that all runners use, but on GameCube, I can't even imagine holding a GameCube controller like that. Like, how do you stretch your thumb to the middle of the controller to pause? It's... wow. I mean, Tethys could also be using claw for all I know, so... it's just one of those things that is enforced on GameCube. Finishing up with a 147 though, that's a really respectable time from Tethys. I'll see if Nug can compete with that. Looking to have a really nice time to say that he went for GC skip as a backup, which coincidentally is literally the skip for this console. I mean, it was named GC skip because on GameCube, the wall just doesn't have collision at all there, so you can pass straight through it. And Nug's getting a 143 with GC skip. Hello. Wait, that's like actually, wow, okay. Let's go, Nug. That's like a pole hop time with GC skip instead, so yeah. Tethys coming up on the first upgrade in Pyramid Cave, my favorite Sonic stage. It's just a lot that can happen in this stage, like a lot of really minor improvements and executions that you can do. Send you just a little bit over that edge. A lot of runners are aiming to break the sub 130 barrier if everything goes really perfectly, but you know, it's not too much of a deal if you go a little bit over that.
Third try is the chime.
Yeah, Tethys struggling a little bit with that door skip, but he does manage to make it through. Essentially, there's a really tight gap in that door that you're trying to aim for. And with enough speed, you can just barely squeeze Sonic through. He's not gonna go for Snake or Hex skip though. This is an interesting choice. Tethys can definitely do snake skip, but maybe he's not feeling too confident in it today. So it would make sense to not go for it. Especially if he hasn't done it in a while.
Nug clearing that door, no problem today. And it looks like Tethys is coming upon the end of the stage now.
No, Tethys! Tethys! That's not helpful at all for his... Oh no. Nug fans are popping off right now. His lead just got increased by basically tenfold. That's like a 30-second death at the end. There's no checkpoint between the one that Tethys just respawned from and literally the end of the stage, which is kind of ridiculous to be honest. It's such a huge gap. That last gravity bounce, it's a run killer. Wow, you hate to see it. I wouldn't be surprised if he opts not to go for it this time. Like finishing up over 145 though, which is definitely a really good time. Breaking that sub 130 barrier is definitely something that you don't see very often in a tournament setting, considering people want to go a little bit safer and, you know, nerves and stuff like that, so... Both of these are pretty solid tournament times. Tethys taking a really unfortunate death though. Oh, speaking of death.
Yeah. Back into another RNG stage. And immediately you'll notice GameCube only has one monitor in there.
Oh, true. And Viodance is not a piece that Nug is feeling like taking. I personally wouldn't take it either. There's some people that would argue that it's acceptable, but...
Oh, and because...
Oh!
Yeah, because he's running 4x3, he doesn't get to do the quick check for bugs. He has to swivel that camera.
Bugs on patrol for NugRunner. This is a piece 3 that spawns in Red Room, which means that he can take his piece 1 and do a death strat. And since how the way that piece generation works allows you to get another piece in Red Room when you respawn. Essentially, it just rerolls all available remaining pieces.
So you just saw Tethys do what I was about to say might be a problem for Nug, but it's not even a problem now at all. So,
right.
After you get a death strat, a lot of runners will usually go check that hit monitor to see what their piece 2 actually is, so they don't waste time. But then you've read the hit monitor, so now after you get that piece, you got to go read another hit monitor, but you have to go out of your way to one of the monitors in the back of the room just to see what your piece 3 is, which is really not optimal compared.
Yeah. GameCube hunting just seems so painful to me. I really don't understand how people can put themselves through that.
How many was that? Was that like 4 deaths?
Probably. Bugs on Patrol do be like that though. Still a pretty solid time. There's a few things you can't do on Death Chamber and GameCube. You can't do a clip called Booty Clip, which is what a lot of runners do to get to the pieces either in green or blue. But you shuffle into the back of one of the boxes in Red Room and you just clip out of bounds by jumping. On GameCube you can do it, but it's a different variation called Booty Zip, where it sends you flying out of bounds and it's really hard to pull off. So nobody really opts to go for it. Tethys getting a really nice King Boom Boo. So there's a mechanic called cat boosting, which you saw both of these runners do, I believe, where you can get hit by a fireball and it will send you flying towards the hourglass, so you can get a really early hit on that hourglass and make the ghost just completely suffer, I guess. You hold up left and then if you time 4 hits perfectly, you can one-cycle the boss without even having to hit the hourglass again.
I do believe I've seen quite a few variations of this at over time. Seems some runners like to time a dig for it. Some runners like to slow down and then just stand still and wait for it to bop them through. A lot of variation for one piece of tech.
Yeah, I prefer to just stand still, to be honest. The dig seems unnecessary to me. Speaking of variation in tech though, not going for super bounces and Tethys going for profit bounces. The difference is, one of them is essentially a mock bounce where you line yourself up perfectly with the edge of the wall, and just due to how collision works, it will throw you into the air. And one of them is, you have to do like specific, it's a super bounce, but you have to do it really tight. There's like a 4-frame window to do 3 inputs, or something bizarre like that. Maybe not, maybe 5 frames, 3 inputs, but, or 2 inputs I guess, because you have to do A and B. Either way, super bounces are way harder. Oh,
The first try. Let's go.
Breaking both of the boxes and getting out of bounds. First try boffer was significantly harder than second try, and we don't have like a solid reasoning why. I mean, the main theory at the moment is that it's due to the way that you load in the boxes. And obviously when you respawn on the checkpoint, the boxes are loaded in differently. No, oh.
Getting lives.
Yeah, okay. That threw me off guard for a moment, right.
He only had 2 lives, so understandable.
I forgot you could do that on GameCube. It looked really strange. Yeah, Nug's also hoping to get first try bow for her. It's way harder than second tries, so...
Immediately... The thought about immediately opting for lives is not a strat you see very often anymore because of Variant 1, but since this is IGT...
Yeah, definitely. I also wouldn't like to attempt both with only 1 life, considering first try is really inconsistent, as you can see from Nug's end right now. Unfortunately, misses it. I mean, it was really, really lucky that Tethys managed to hit it. It's not even luck-based, it's just... we don't really fully understand how it works. A lot of people have different setups, and... Tethys does manage to come out with a first try. Anyway, this is the last RNG stage, so if you really don't like the run being decided by completely random calls of RNG, then this will be the last one. Just hang in there for a little moment longer. This piece 1 for Tethys is pretty nice. It's not the best piece 1, but it's not the worst either. It's a fairly average mid-piece 1. Oh no, Tethys! Yeah, this is the worst piece in the stage. It's so high up, you have to climb all this way up for it. I mean, I don't really think I need to tell you that it's slow, and Nug opting to clip into the goal room, which is definitely a more consistent way of doing it, in a tournament race setting especially. Because dying at the goal ring there can lose you like 1 minute and 40 seconds if you're not careful.
I mean, as long as you remember to hover at the end, there is that floating plane is not automatic. If you just fall, you die.
Yeah.
I've made this mistake once.
The goal room clip is kind of brutal. Anyway, Nug also coming up on the last RNG stage now. We'll see if we can beat Tethys' 50-something. I believe that was a 55. Either way, that wasn't very good RNG for Tethys at all. He got the worst piece 2 in the stage, so...
And this is immediately showing that hit monitor difference.
True.
I'm gonna come all the way up here.
For a ground piece as well.
2 more left.
That hurts to look at. Tethys' Fury of Rouge was a really nice Rouge fight. For Rouge, you just want to spam the drill dive. She won't really move or do that much if you're doing that. How it works is that the more time you spend in the air, the less time Rouge spends actually doing anything, so you can kind of like be in the air and hit at the same time if you match the drill dive. Considering on that every frame that you're not drill diving, you're jumping into the air, and every frame that you're not jumping into the air, you're doing a drill dive, which activates the hitbox.
You know,
So
that was a very solid set Nug had. Bottom, mid, bottom.
Yeah, that's just going to increase Nug's time save by so much more. Some would say Tethys can't even come back from this position, but we've seen so many mistakes in Final Rush today that I would have to digress or disagree on that. Gotta remind myself, that's not what digress means.
Tethys out first try. Let's go.
Really clean CGSS from Tethys.
You love to see it.
This is just a really good run from Nug, though. I mean, it would have taken a lot from Tethys to beat him in this race right now. I believe he's playing really close to his PB. I mean, not to like cuss anything, but yeah, it's just been a really good show. He hasn't really made too many mistakes this run.
I've just. It looks like so far Nug has about 30.24 seconds to be added to this time.
Ooh, that's a lot of diffs and restarts. Oh no, Tethys! Ah! Hate to see it. Eggman's just not playing ball there and shooting the laser. Optimally, you want to manip Eggman so that he shoots the laser at the wall, and then since he's still in his attack animation, he doesn't really retarget and aim at you, so you can just chain a lot of hits on him. Looked like that didn't go too much to plan for Tethys though. The first attempt does manage to make it out now though. The back camera method for CGSS is so bizarre. Nug is managing to kill CGSS though really well, so...
No! Yes!
Very solid time. Let's go.
Huh. No problem.
Alright, and the only thing really separating Tethys from finishing this now is Final Rush and Shadow 2. And Final Rush is one of those really major skips that is kind of consistent, but in a tournament setting it's so easy to mess up considering you have to hold such a precise angle. And with tournament nerves, it's really hard to hold your thumb still, obviously, if your hands are shaking and stuff, so... I had this issue a lot, and we've seen it happen basically all day today. Like, I don't think we've had a single run where both runners have had a really nice Final Rush. So you never know. Nook could still struggle in Final Rush for a couple of minutes and give Tethys the win here.
Alright, no more games, Tails. No, I can't lose to Tails.
And Nug is out of Eggman too. Oh yeah, that's miles of height for Tethys. It'd be really hard not to hit the goal ring here.
And it looks like we got Nug loading into Final Rush as Tethys is leaving, but once again, that's because load times.
That's true. So if we had the 30 seconds of assumed deaths and restarts, Snug is 23:30 into Final Rush, which means this is low 25 pace, very likely. That would seal him the victory over Tethys. We just really hope that this Final Rush goes well right now for him. And all Tethys needs is for Nug to just choke this last part of Final Rush Cup. This turn could be kind of crucial, actually. You want a really nice turn there. Otherwise, you'll just lose way too much speed and not be able to make it. Tethys is looking to round off this fight really nicely, though, and end his run so far. A 27:05, huge GG's to Tethys.
Let's go, GG Tethys.
Alright, we'll see if Nug can finish up this run. Hopefully he has enough hype for this. Yeah, that looks really good. NugRunner stocks are rising exponentially right now. After hitting the skip, there is really nothing stopping him from winning this race. I mean, it would take a lot of messing up in Shadow 2, and just on a really unlikely level. Like, I really don't think Nug's gonna lose this.
No problem.
Let's go. Sitting at a 24:31, so yeah. just in the 25 range.
So yeah, Tethys had a really good run though. He played pretty well. Those, if we took away all the really unfortunate things that happened to Tethys, like missing the grab bounce and at the end of Pyramid Cave that lost him about 30 seconds, you know, like all the things that happened in Mission Street as well, then this would have been a really solid run. And those things that did happen are, they're just really unlucky. And you don't like to see it on any runner really, but Nug is going to finish this up with a 17 Shadow 2, sealing the victory for sure. Huge GG's
Let's
to both runners.
go.
Oh, that's a PB? There's no way. Wait, can we calculate the deaths and restarts now?
I don't think there was anything extra since
Sonic, I
the
did it.
Bofa attempt.
So 30-24 to be added, right, Drum? Is that what I'm reading? 25-19, let's go! Huge shoutouts to Nog. We love to see a tournament PB. It would have taken a lot from Tethys to beat him in this race, considering Nog actually just PB'd, and now his PB is only within a couple of seconds from Tethys' PB actually, so Tethys would have had to play really close to his PB to win this race.
Let's go.
Wait a minute. Hold on, let me just check the boards for a second. Give me 1 second, right?
But this unfortunately means that Tethys is now going into the losers bracket. Or wait, he was already? No, I am out of my mind right now. Tethys is going into the losers bracket, and Nug is moving on. Let's see where they move on to.
And Nug was 2 seconds off of kicking AF Wages out of top 50. Ah.
So later, there will be a race between Nug and Trader, and Tethys will be going head to head with Liam Dunn. So some exciting matches to be sure.
Yeah, unfortunately I will have to depart now, but thank you all for having me. These two races have been really, really cool to watch and cool to be on as well for commentary.